Now, the only thing I don't like about my decision is the fact that if the Eagles do lose to the Texans tonight, no one, and I mean no one, would let them live it down. Because there are people who are literally waiting for not just the Eagles, but more specifically, Jalen Hurts to fall off a cliff.
Yeah, I guess you could say it's a good morning NFC East, everybody. You're a Phillies fan, diehard like I am. It's not a good morning. Glad it's just one game because I was at Game 4 last night. I know the bosses were at Game 4 last night too, and yeah, it was not a good night, Tone DeShields. By the way, in case you don't know who I am yet, my name is Jeff Kerr, but Tone DeShields. When I saw you this morning, we just shook our heads.
All I can do is say to you was no hitter, huh? That's all I can say. That's all I can say. I really couldn't believe what I was watching last night, but at the same time, Jeff, I wasn't surprised. Nola hasn't been good his last couple starts, and he just has this look of confusion sometimes. And he was good at first; things were rolling. And then all of a sudden he just unraveled. It wasn't like he gave up one run in an inning and it was just piling slowly, but it was like he just completely unraveled. It didn't add up to me. What were you saying? Because you were at the game last night.
Yeah. So I could tell. Like I usually watch pitchers' body language or velocity, stuff like that. Noah hasn't been good in a couple weeks. So the fourth thing, I'm like, they're starting to hit him a little bit. Like not bad, but it was like a death by 1,000 cuts last night. If you want to be quite honest, it just felt like that. They weren't hit. I said this in third inning to my buddy. I'm like, they could get no hit tonight. And he's like, really? I said, look at the plate discipline. Look at the approach. It just looked terrible. And Christian Javier was balling, absolutely dominating last night. He's a really good pitcher.
I can't even hate the game. You know what I'm saying?
No, I congratulate the Astros, and I got destroyed on Twitter and Facebook for it. I'm like, hey, grow up, guys. Like, it's a no-hitter. It's only happened
a combined no-hitter at that. Combined. Yeah. It wasn't just one guy that was hot. Yeah. They flat out picked up where he left off.
Yeah. So now I got to bring this up because this is what we were talking about backstage here. This is a very important question to a Philly sports fan. Because this is a big, big night for Philly sport. And the Eagles do play tonight, which is why I want to bring this up. This is a perfect segue to the Eagles. Game 5 of the World Series. The season's on the line here. If the Phillies lose, I'm sorry. I don't think they're winning the World Series. Just my honest opinion. If you had to pick one team to win tonight, the Phillies or the Eagles, would you trade an Eagles loss to the lowly Texans for a Phillies win and a chance to go to Houston up 3-2.
Jeff, it's so funny. When you asked me this off air, right? I immediately, all I could do was shake my head again. And all I can do was smile because I was thinking to myself, my fandom for the Philadelphia Eagles runs so deep. And my fandom for Philadelphia Phillies runs deep as well. But I don't know if it runs as deep as my Eagles fandom. I'll just be completely transparent with that. I am a diehard Eagles fan. I also love my Phillies. I go to Phillies games. I gear. I'm locked in. I'm Philly through and through. Phillies, Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, Union, even the damn Phantom. You know what I'm saying? If you guys don't know who they are, that's a lacrosse team. But even Temple, and they're never doing well. But back to the original point. If I had to choose a Phillies win in the World Series, a swing Game 5, typically the one who wins Games 5 wins the entire series, versus a Week 9 win over the lowly Houston Texans. Which would I rather have? Fandom aside, I would have to go with the World Series win for the Philadelphia Phillies because of the simple fact of the gravity of the moment. The gravity of the moment is so far beyond a Week 9 game against the Houston Texans. Now, the only thing I don't like about my decision is the fact that if the Eagles do lose to the Texans tonight, no one, and I mean no one, would let them live it down. Because there are people who are literally waiting for not just the Eagles, but more specifically, Jalen Hurts to fall off a cliff. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, and you know they're waiting for that. There are tons of Jalen Hurts haters out there. You're not hearing them right now because they're like bees in the hive, right? It's wintertime. They're just trying to protect themselves. They're just trying to survive. Well, guess what? They'll come out if you kick it. So the Eagles can't. I'm just going to say this point blank. There is no way the Eagles should lose to the Texans.
Absolutely not.
I watch so many Texans games. I watch every play. The Texans are not a good football team. They are really, really bad. They have, like, Davis Mills, I like as a player, but he is not their long-term answer quarterback. They probably will not have Brandon Cooks tonight. Nico Collins is out. So there's your top two receivers. Dameon Pierce can't do it all himself. He has a terrible offensive line. He's one of the worst. Dameon Pierce is one of the worst running backs in the league of getting the ball and actually getting yards before contact. That's how bad the offensive line is. It's the second level stuff or, the breaking the tackles. That's where he's dangerous. So the Eagles got to tackle tonight.
But here's the thing, right? He probably leads the league in broken tackles because his offensive line is so bad. You know what I'm saying? He has to break the tackles.
It's him. This is literally their offense. Their defense is a little better than last year. Like Jerry Hughes is having a good year. Derek Stingley's having a good year. Our old friend Steve Nelson's having a good year. But this is not a good football team. Like I still am confused how they have a win. Yeah, a tie. But that's times when you play bad. Like Houston, they're gonna be fired up tonight because it's their Battle Red night. It's one of their biggest they're debuting the red helmets with the red jerseys. Like it's one of their biggest nights of the year. And everybody goes, well, why'd they pick the Eagles for it? Well, that wasn't their fault. They always do this on like a Thursday night football or something. Like this is their one chance in the national spotlight. And I know Texans fans probably don't ultimately care that much about their football team right now. But
they ever?
You know what? A lot of them are still Oilers fans. A lot of them are still like, they want the Oilers back. They want that Oilers culture. And I get it. Like, I can't imagine what it's like to have your team move to another city. Yeah, you got a team back, but they're not the same. You know what I mean? Like, there's a whole generation in there that lived, breathed, and died Oilers, Warren Moon, Earl Campbell, those guys. Excellent football players. And then you have a Steve McNair and Eddie George who are about to reunite your city. And just move them out. We're not going to build a new Astrodome. We're not going to do anything like that. So, yeah, I'll tell you what, the Eagles shouldn't lose to the Texans. But, again, if I had to pick, everybody knows where my fandom lies in the Philadelphia sports hierarchy. Phillies was the first Philadelphia team I liked, and they've always been priority number one for me. So, yeah, give me that. By the way, I will say this, Tone. I am not a happy camper this morning. I know. As you know, I was
there last night. It's like, and you're a season ticket holder, so it's I know your fandom is legit, right? But also, we got a lot of people watching the show right now. Adam Exploits, Paul Mancini, Davey Boy, all you guys, everyone else tuning into the content right now. What would you guys choose, right? Would you rather have?
They're diehard fans, right? We always say who our diehard fans are. They're right there.
Exactly. So
every day.
Exactly. So I need to know from you guys, right? Anyone else? We have a handful of people watching the show right now. Yeah. What would you guys rather have? The World Series Game 5 win or a win over your Houston Texans? I think I know what a lot of you would say, but we have to pose that question. That's the question of the day for you guys. So we want to make sure you guys
know. And guess what? There is no wrong answer here. If you want to pick the Eagles, fine with me, man. I don't care. That's it. I mean, I really want to know how people are going to watch this game tonight. Like, I'll tell you what, I got to work the Eagles game, so I'll have the Phillies on the background, but I'll be paying full attention to the Eagles game, guys. Believe me, work always comes first, especially when you cover football for a living. I love it. So, but, in the back of my mind, I'm like, Eagles, just do your job. Like, this team is not good. Do what you've been doing all year and take care of business against this team and take a nice 11 days off.
It's funny because you're a football writer, but your baseball fandom supersedes your Philadelphia Eagles.
Why do you think I like
how did that work?
Playoffs so much, Tone? I don't have to worry about it. Like, now I do. That's the problem.
Oh, man. So the Eagles do have these Houston Texans tonight. And you brought up a good point earlier. The fact that Dameon Pierce is their offense, and he leads the league in broken tackles, I believe. And it's going to be important for the Eagles to be as disciplined as possible in the run game. They're going to be without Jordan Davis. So what do you expect Jonathan Gannon to do in this situation? What do you expect his approach to be, knowing Dameon Pierce is their offense and Davis Mills is their quarterback?
Well, I think you're going to see a lot of four-man pressure again. And I think you're going to mix a lot of Robert Quinn in there. I think we are going to see a little bit more Robert Quinn this week. I mean, 20 sacks is a lot, but I'll tell you, Brandon Graham is not getting 13 sacks tonight. He's not. 13 sacks. 13 snaps. He only played 13 snaps Sunday. There's no way his snap total is going to be that low. I don't know why I keep thinking sacks, but the Eagles should be getting a lot of sacks tonight, if you want to be quite honest. Like, I think you're going to see a lot of four-man fronts, a lot of four-man pressure. I'm expecting Milton Williams to have a key role in this game tonight because somebody is going to have to fill in that void the Eagles lack with Jordan Davis in there. That's why I think teams are really going to test them against the run over the next couple of weeks because Davis is out at least the next 4 games. So I'm looking at it as Milton Williams, Marlon T. I can never pronounce Marlon
Tuipulotu.
Tuipulotu. Thank you. It's 7 in the morning, and my brain's not functioning yet, and I'm still mad from last night. But yeah, Marlon Tuipulotu. I'm expecting both of them. And look, the Eagles have a lot of confidence in these guys. Like, Marlon Tuipulotu is a good football player. I saw that in the preseason. I saw that in camp. I really like the depth of defense.
He shocked me, honestly. I didn't think he was going to be a mainstay on this team. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, but he's a good player. And
he's solid.
This is his chance. This is where the depth of your football team is challenged. And you got guys like him. You got Milton Williams in there. Like, I'm excited to see what they do tonight. I really am, especially over the next couple of weeks. I know, like, you don't really want this scenario, but injuries happen. It's a shame what happened to Jordan Davis, but you know, the Eagles just got to get him back for the stretch run, Tone. But I tell you what, I mean, the Eagles can put this game away early. I truly believe that. It's like Pittsburgh. They really can put this game away early because this Texans team, you thought the Steelers were bad. We told them tonight.
Yeah, man. You know, it's this. You brought up a good point. Again, this stretch of games, they're going to be tested, right? And it's so funny because if you look at the schedule, you guys, you know, you guys are locked on a Good Morning NFC East with Jeff Kerr and Tony DeShields II. If you look at the schedule, you guys, you have the Houston Texans, who has one of the top running backs in the league right now, with Dameon Pierce, a young gun right now. Then you got the Washington Commanders with Antonio Gibson and what's the young brother?
Brian Robinson.
Brian Robinson. So they're going to be tested in the running game. You got to go against Dameon Pierce, Antonio Gibson, and Brian Robinson next week. And then you got Jonathan Taylor, who's nursing an injury, but still is very dangerous if you allow him to get hot.
I will say this, Tony.
And then you got Aaron Jones.
The Colts offensive line is god-awful. They are god-awful. Wow.
But once again, you know, discipline is everything, right? You know, everyone, you know, any given Sunday. But I just want to put it in perspective for the fans, right, Jeff? It's this is the stretch where they're going to be going up against their best competition in terms of running back. And this is going to tell me a lot about where this team is from an adjustment standpoint. When it comes to discipline in the run game, they're tackling. Like I said, you're going to have to go against Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. You know, the IR window was 4 weeks, right?
Yep, 4 weeks. So
but then again, there's no guarantee he'll come back in 4 weeks. There's still no guarantee because it's 4 to 6 weeks.
If he does, I think it's against the Titans. It's either Titans or Giants. But he's got him as 4 weeks.
It would be against the Titans. Yes, you're correct. You're correct. But again, you know, I'm curious what your thoughts on that, right? That's a rough stretch in terms of running back competition as far as running back talent. Now, again, it always comes back to the offensive line. What's your thoughts on just how you think they'll adjust over this stretch without Jordan Davis?
Man, see, here's the thing. I didn't think the Eagles have been that great against the run all year unless Jordan Davis is in. So I think this is where – look, there's some history on the line for the Eagles tonight too, Tone. The Eagles never started 8-0, ever. In the 92 years they played – hold on. No, 90 season. This is the 90th season of Eagles football. They have never started 8-0. So, again, I think the run defense is going to be tested. The run defense, the tackling, that's their biggest weakness, if you want to call it a weakness, because they are solid in both of them. But I kind of want to make this a little more interesting here, Tone. Do you know, I'm just curious who Houston's going to throw the football to against the Eagles secondary. Because, again, I mentioned earlier, Nico Collins is out. He averages 19 16.9 yards per catch this year. He's top 5 in the league. He's a deep threat. Where Brandon Cooks plays or not, I don't know. Brandon Cooks is really, really frustrated with this football team right now because he said they were going to trade him, and you know how that works, right? But you look at the contract situation, and we'll get into this a bit with George Janey when he comes on, but Brandon Cooks is almost a Cowboy on Tuesday. So, I mean, the Eagles, I think Brandon Cooks ultimately does suit up tonight. Personally, I think he just had to get some venting done. But he's not having a good year.
Yeah, he's not.
It's gonna be weird, Tone, because
I mean his quarterback is Davis Mills.
Yeah, I feel like tonight's gonna be one of those games where you're not really gonna learn much. You know what I mean?
I get what you mean. I definitely get it. It's just I expect this team though, because of the situation, because of the circumstances, I do expect them to dedicate a little bit more bodies towards the line of scrimmage. So I do expect them to load the box on the Texans and force Davis Mills to beat them. Kind of similar to how they approached Kenny Pickett at times. They keyed in on Najee Harris, made sure he couldn't get off, and said, "Hey, Kenny, beat us." So I expect the same thing. And you're right. The Texans have just been a disappointment through and through. Who are they going to throw the ball to? OJ Howard has been a disappointment for them. He doesn't even have 100 yards on the season. It's just been an absolute struggle for the Houston Texans. But Jalen Hurts gets to go home, right? What's your expectations for Jalen Hurts entering this game? Is there a chance that being home, getting some home cooking can probably, I don't know, knock him off his square? What do you expect?
He's gonna be fired up tonight, honestly.
Oh yeah,
I think he's gonna be fired up to be home. He might be fired up for his Astros. Who knows? I don't know who his allegiance is anymore these days, and he's smart. Really? He's smart by not telling people. So, right. I think he's gonna be fired up. He's home, and you always have to find a way to get that extra juice sometimes, or sometimes you have it. It's where it's the opponent or the location. I think Jalen Hurts is going to be a little not antsy tonight, but amped up.
But you got to be careful, right? Because when you're home, you get that home cooking, and you got family there. When you have people watching, you tend to kind of overextend yourself, right? And Brandon Graham talked about this in his interview in the locker room. They asked him, with Jalen going home, and you had a similar thing earlier in the season, with going home to Detroit. How do guys approach that? How do you recommend he should approach that? How did you approach it? He said, honestly, just stick to your fundamentals. Keep doing what you've been doing. Don't overdo it. Don't try to go out there and show off and do things you don't normally do.
And Jalen's not a guy who does that anyway. So
exactly.
I think he's so posed. It's not gonna matter, but you can tell. I bet before the game though, you're gonna hear Jalen Hurts do the screams and do all that. They'll probably get a welcome too, because there are a lot of people in Texas that like Jalen Hurts. So I mean, it's gonna be exciting for him. I'm excited to see what he can do on a short week. I'm excited to see what this team will do on a short week. I mean, look, it's not a sexy matchup at all. It's one of those where you're like, seriously, this is the Thursday night football matchup. Everybody's going to be complaining about Amazon and how bad TNF is and all this stuff, because it could be ugly. I mean, it really could. But the Eagles got to make sure they've been doing what they've been doing all year. Run the ball well, protect the football. This is why the Eagles do blow teams out. They protect the football. This is why every win feels like it's not – you don't see the errors. And if you don't commit errors and force them to make them, it could be a really good enough. Here's a weird stat, Tone, by the way. Davis Mills is 1-7-1 in his career at home, but he has 17 touchdowns. Wait for this. But he has 17 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So you tell me.
That sounds like a combination of bad defense and maybe some late scoring, some garbage time points.
The Texans have a notoriously bad defense. It's been bad for a while now, and their run defense is terrible. The Eagles should take advantage.
Oh my God!
Of this.
Yeah, didn't correct me if I'm wrong. I thought it was a misprint. The Titans put up over 300 rushing yards on them.
Oh my God! Yeah, Derrick Henry just went off. So I rewatched the game Tuesday. Watch it. I knew what Derrick Henry did, but I had to watch the game. It was 17-10. It was not close. It wasn't even close. It was really 17-3. Texans scored with 3 seconds left. but
Oh my
it was
goodness.
like it was 10-3, and the outcome was never in doubt. It was never in doubt. You could just run the football on them all day long. Like, I mean,
Damn.
tonight the Eagles could get 2 rushing yards off this team. If I'm being quite honest with you.
That's pure domination. You know, I'm really curious to hear what, you know, our Slim Brian Dayball has to say about this, aka Jordan DeJohnny. I'm really
He really
curious
is
what he has
Brian
to say
Daboll.
about this, man. I'm really curious. We have him in the green room right now. Any final thoughts, Jeff, before we hit this break and bring up our guy?
Well, Jordan's a big Titans guy too, so
Oh yeah, he got
so
to break
you're
down
going
how
to
he
get
got 300 yards. That's crazy. That's unheard of. That's pure
yeah,
dominant.
you're gonna get the full breakdown on the Houston to end all this Washington Commander. Yesterday might have been the greatest day in Washington Commanders history, and they didn't do anything.
Oh man, listen, you guys are locked in on Good Morning NFC East. He's Jeff Kerr. I'm your guy, Tone DeShields II. Make sure you smash that like button. Continue to stay engaged. We have our guy, Slim Brian Dayball, aka Jordan DeJohnny, coming up next after the break. Keep it locked, you guys. You don't want to miss this.